So we do have a few people who can't make it today, and so I really want to make sure that they have an opportunity to see this. So I'm going to record, so you can shut your screen off if you want to. I just want to begin by welcoming everyone and thanking you for being part of the first ever Veteran Peer Access Network review panel. Just to get a feel, how many of you have ever participated on a review panel before? You should have a chat. You just want to put it in the chat real quick. I'd love to see if anyone has any experience with that. If you have, so whether you have or not, this is going to be an exciting experience because it's your decision and your recommendations that will play into which organizations have an opportunity to provide really needed peer support for across LA County. So I think some of you, it may be your first time. Don't worry, you don't have to be super experienced. All you have to do is bring your experience, which is why you've been chosen to be part of this review panel. Each of you are experts in your field. I've been working with veteran and military families for some decades of decades. And I just want to, and so that's why you're here today. I just am thankful for your service, and I know I'm thankful for your ability to volunteer for this. So I appreciate it. So today I'm going to cover 4 things. This is 4 different topics. The first is I want to give you a big picture of VPAN. So I imagine probably most of you haven't read the RFP. I don't think you need to read the RFP necessarily, although it may be helpful to review the proposals. But I'm going to give you a big picture because of what the intent of a VPAN is. And I think as you start to make decisions, and we discuss these next week in our review panels, reading over the proposals, it will help to understand what the intent of it is. Because it could be possible that some of the proposals, well thought out, don't actually meet the intent of the VPAN. So we don't win today if you don't know how to log into Submittable and actually review the proposals. Because basically from today on is when you will be able to view those proposals and then score them. And I'm going to walk you through the proposal because, especially if you're district number 1, our first meeting is Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So if you're in 1, then you have the shortest amount of time to review those. Good news is there are no more than 4 proposals for any one of the districts. And so it's not like you have thousands of proposals. Each of them have at max 7 pages with 5 attachments. So we're not talking about you reading just enormously boring, shouldn't say boring, a lot of stuff. But this is it's supposed to be very content heavy, and then we're going to talk about the rubric, specifically the scorecard, and then stipends, because I want to reward you. Okay, so let me give you a big picture. You're all on this because you're familiar with the VPAN, but I want to make sure that you have and to know what the VPAN is. So in the end of last year, in November last year, the Board of Supervisors authorized more than $33 million in funding. Some of you were part of advocating for that. And what that meant was that $33 million over 3 years would fund what would be now called, what would be a peer-to-peer program. And if you know anything about the director of LA County Mental Health, John Sharon, this is something that he'd been thinking about for years. And the intent was really to address issues like homelessness, suicide, and unemployment. And to do it by providing what I like to call a backbone of services. And so you can see my super swanky backbone. And in all my time at the Veterans Collaborative and in Los Angeles, it's just super key to have these connective tissue that all the services are able to reference and connect to. And so this is why we refer to the VPAN as potentially the backbone for connecting veterans and military families within LA County to the services here. So how are we doing this? Why am I talking to you? I am talking to you because as part of my role at Southern California Grantmakers, we, SCG, which is what we call it, has been given the authority to essentially, we're a public-private partnership. So we are, act as the fiscal intermediary for the county. And so we are the ones who are actually implementing this contract. This is important for a few reasons. One, because we are not the county, so we can move fast. You probably heard about it in the ethos, and then suddenly when it came to us, suddenly there was an RFP, and suddenly there was real movement, and it was something. That's the beauty of public-private partnerships, is that we are fast, we are nimble, and we are in the grant-making space, and so we know how this works. And so in August, we released the RFP, or in July, we released the RFP with a deadline of Monday. So the proposals were due on Monday. And now we've been verifying, making sure that they have crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's before we get them to you. And to make sure that we're okay with all of them as proposals being reviewed, and to make sure that any legal issues are worked out. And so our job now is to roll out this and to choose organizations that will fulfill the mission and the vision of this VPN. Really functionally what that means is the VPN will be represented by the 5 supervisory districts. Some of you are probably very familiar with these. Some of you are probably very familiar with the one you live in or the services in your district. You're not chosen for your overall knowledge of all the veteran and military families across LA County, across all the 88 cities and the thousands of miles. Really, it's for your understanding of that district. And so the idea here is that across LA County, but within each of the supervisory district, there would be a high quality coordinated network of care. So that no matter where a veteran and military family member accesses help, they have access to a peer community that can help them navigate. One of the things that we learned in the USC study in 2015 that I was fortunate enough to be part of was that most veterans didn't know where or how to get help when they needed it. And so peers will be an important part of this, enabling veterans to, you can imagine a world where I might say, hey, look, I need help on a resume. And then I talk with a peer and I realize, actually, I don't need to be working on a resume right now. I need to get my family stuff in order. And then I can figure out what would be okay with my current work schedule, with my wife's current work schedule. You can imagine that this is really going to change the way that we provide services and connect veterans to needed things in Los Angeles. Okay, so that's a big picture. This will flesh out a little bit more as we get into the review panels themselves. But I want to show you now how to actually access these proposals and how you're going to review them. Okay, real quick, I want to pause and see if anyone has any questions. Okay, silence is complicity. It's wonderful. So here's what we will do. I'm going to show you. So all of you should have received an email from Southern California Grantmakers submittable. Did you see an email from submittable Southern California Grantmakers? I see some head nods. Okay, so you click on that link, and if you want to do that while I'm showing you, you are welcome to. Here's what it looks like. You'll log in. In fact, I'm going to log out here, and then I'm going to show you what happens. So I just received my link. And now I create my account, right? I'm gonna log in. This is super exciting. Here we go. Okay, look at that. I've been assigned a few grants or a few proposals. All right. So you're welcome to do this with me if you want, but I want to show you. So then each one of these will be a proposal from an organization in your district that we want you to review before the um, review panel, okay? So I'm gonna click on here. You have to click on the number. You click on the number, and then what will happen is you have access to the whole thing here, all right? So this, for example, is a Goodwill Southern California proposal. And so I can scroll through this whole thing. If you see here, scroll through this whole thing. This one actually is for Supervisor District 5. So you should only have, in your district, you should see, you have not been assigned those yet, but you will be. Kelly, are you on? We're going to get them all assigned today, right?
Correct. Correct.
So you will see, you probably already got, you have to set up your account where we can assign you. I think that's how it works. So you make sure you set up your account. If you're not, you can right now set it up. And then once you've logged into the system, then we can assign you your grants. So what you're going to do is you're going to scroll through these and read them. You can take notes if you want, as you see here. You can do all of that. You also I have a little here. I have a so two things I want to make sure that you do here. Yes, please. Let me show you this here. I was going to show you my 2-year-old, but she's too hard to catch. So these 5, so what we have here are 5, each one of these will have 5 separate, all the proposals were allowed to have 5 attachments, okay? So you can click on each one of these. These are gonna be really important for your reviews because they're limited to attach, so whatever they decided to attach here. So here's what I would, so here, if you look at, also at the end of these in section 3 will be the budget. You will also want to click on here, the budgets. And you'll see everything will open in the window. You don't have to download anything. It'll all be in here. Oh wait, I'm getting a bunch of phone calls here from people that are trying to get in. People are waiting on hold.
Nathan, while we're waiting, if we're taking notes on the, as part of our narrative, are those notes visible to anyone other than ourselves, or are they?
That's a great question. Kelly, do you know?
Well, so it seems to me from the experience I've had playing around with this is that, did you see, oh, Nate just,
hold on.
There was that eyeball. Did you see, like you saw that note section and then that eyeball, and there's a drop down, and I believe you're able to select within your team, and the other selection was admin only. So, Nate and I are the only admin. So if you select admin only, that would be, I think that's your closest thing to limiting it just to your notes, from what I can tell. We haven't got to the scorecard section, but we are going to do the scorecard offline. We didn't set that up in Submittable. So, you may also, choose to kind of put your notes offline. So that's kind of a convoluted answer. It seems like someone will be able to view it, whether if you select team, it's the people in your team. So that would be the supervisor district, or you could select, at least on my login, it said admin. And I think that would be the most private.
Okay. All right, I'm just texting, trying to get everybody in here. Okay, I think I got everyone in. All right, so what happens here is you can open each one of these documents, right? So picture this is each one of these is the attachment, and so let's try this. We're hoping to kind of bring Neil on in the short term. Again, so admins only. So like she said, you can assign admins and then no one else can see it. You there?
Yeah.
So this is enough. If everyone else wants to read it too, then you do that. Okay. All right. I know that's kind of a down dirty. It's fairly simple. Mostly you're going to read this, and then I'm going to show you the rubric you're going to use. And then I'm going to show you how we want you to score them, and then send it to us. Okay? If you don't have any questions between now and tomorrow, and really Saturday, if you have questions or you can't log in, both Kelly and I can help you get in there and make sure that you're good to go. Okay? All right. Okay, I think we got the rest of everybody. We just joined. I know we're just getting people in. Okay. It looks like there was a bunch of people stuck in the waiting room, even though they were accepted. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go over the submittable one more time for those who just joined us. But if you have questions for those who are a little bit late to this, I'll stay on a little bit after 2. I know originally I had to put a hold on your calendars till 3, so we can go over this one more time. For those who are just joining us, welcome. You missed me doting over you and talking about how wonderful you all are. Thank you for joining us. Really, you're here because of your wonderful experience and your ability to know, because you either know the grant making process or your experience in it to understand the needs of veteran military families facing us. So if you just joined us, we went over an overview of the VPAN, and now we're showing people how to actually log into Submittable. All of you should have received a link that asked you to set up an account in Submittable. So right now I have a list here of Submittable. From Submittable. When you set up your account, you will then get an email that said you have been assigned 2 proposals or 3 proposals. The maximum number of proposals in this is in any of the supervisory districts is 4. So you won't have tons to read. They all max out at 7 pages. I was just showing. And so what you'll do is you'll set up your account, and when you log in, it'll look just like this. You'll have your little initials. It'll say Southern California Grantmaker is your little initial right here. And then you'll click on the number to see the proposal, and then you'll scroll through. And you can see the contact, and this is the 7, roughly it's about 7 pages total. You'll scroll through. Most importantly, I want you to make sure you don't skip the attachments. Each one of these is attachment, as I saw. There's 5 attachments, and you don't have to download them. They load in the platform, and so you'll want to read these and reference them. Okay. All right. I know this is kind of a lot. You guys just got thrown in for those that are new. Questions, orientation. Obviously, if you have any major questions about this, we'll go a little. We'll stay on a little bit after and let people go. I'm sorry about the sitting in the waiting room. I don't know how that shouldn't we disabled that. So anyone else? Okay, so this is the overview of submittable. I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to do the review process. It's pretty straightforward. It's actually pretty straightforward in submittable. Once you set up your account, we can you'll get your submissions, you'll get a notification email, and then you can read through the proposals. And I just want to make sure you click through those. In submittable itself, I want to make, this is important. In submittable itself, you won't actually have a, you don't have to submit any notes or put any information in the actual submittable app yourself. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to have you use a scorecard. Before I get in there, though, I want to make sure that you know your review panel schedule. So if you're District 1, you have the least amount of time to review these. I think we have 4 proposals for District 1. Kelly, you can, if you have those offhand. At max, you have 4. I want to say they're all between 2 and 4, except for one of them has 1.
Exactly. Yeah. So 1 has 4, 2 has 2, 3 has 1, 4 has 2, and 5 has 2.
Okay. So so you can see you're really just reading 2 proposals, and then in our review panel, we'll weigh them against each other based off of the scorecard. Okay. I sent you all a hold on your calendar for this, but if for some reason you didn't get it or you just need me to resend it, I'm happy to send the link again. Okay. All right. Let's see this scorecard. So I want to spend most of our time talking about the scorecard. As you might have seen, it does say calibration session. So the goal is that we calibrate kind of how we're looking at these things. Oop. 1 second. Okay. Let me go full screen here so you can see it. Okay, so this is going to be the scorecard. I'm immediately following this, we're going to send you this scorecard. And so in this schedule, we're going to, in the scorecard, this is going to be what you're going to use for each one of the reviewers. What we're going to ask is that each one of these, instead of sending us 2 files, you have 1 file and you just click here. You just click here and then you can, if you see like that. So what you're going to do is you're just going to copy it and duplicate. If you see exactly the same, and then you're going to do another one.
Nate, I can send the files out to each of this teams, and I'll have the appropriate number of tabs, so you don't have to worry about.
So we're gonna send you one that you like. Yeah, we're gonna send you one for everyone. Okay. So here is. All right, it's a little slow here. Okay, so this is the criteria scorecard. Each one of these, just all you have to do is fill out which one you graded, what district they're in, and then you can add some notes in here. this rubric is on a sliding scale. So if you're looking at this based off of, does the proposer address this or understand what was outlined in the RFP, or do they, and so it's two scales. So on the one scale, it's 0 if they don't address it or understand it. And on 5, it's they strongly address it, clearly knew exactly what they were talking about. So we've broken these up into basically three separate.
Okay, I think we may have lost Nate. So while he's trying to get connected. So, oh, did we lose him? Oh, we did lose him altogether. Okay. So let me pull it up.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened there. These are the times where people disappear on you. All right, so we've broken into 3 sections, basically organizationally. There's the qualifications, the approach, and then the cost proposal. So the first part is the services and programs. When you're reading these, I want you to think about services and programs. So to what extent does the proposer currently offer veteran peer programs? So housing, employment, crisis, and management. Do they currently offer those? And if they do, then, and they currently offer in those sectors, then you might sway on the end, okay? And then you might sway as a 5. If they have all of those and they have those in spades, then you'll just input that in here, right? So each one along this, you're gonna put a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, all right? And then we're going to collate all these, and then we can use these in our panels. And I'll talk a little about how we'll use these in our review panels, but I first want to go over the rubric. The second piece is the calibration piece, which is to what extent does the proposer currently collaborate with community agencies? So how many examples are included? So have they explained, or maybe even in your experience, are they a good collaborator? Specifically, I would actually pause that. Only in their proposal. In the review panels, we can talk about in your experience, whether they're a good collaborator or not. For the purposes of this review session, for review panel, I want you to stick to what they said. So did they say this in the collaboration? Second is the technology piece. So how extensive does a proposer currently utilize technology? Did they address that in their proposal? 0 to 5. The most heavily weighted section will be the approach, which is the evaluation of needs and approach. How well does the proposer demonstrate their understanding of the needs? So did they articulate the needs? How many veterans? Is it clear they understand that they're the most effective way to get outreach and engage veterans given their understanding of their supervisory district? And then lastly, really, does it feel like their approach is tied to the needs, or would that approach kind of been any supervisory district? Programming and outreach. So how well does the approach address needs for housing? So specifically outreach for housing, suicide prevention, economic stability. Do they have experience using peers to do outreach? Perhaps they have understanding with the differences between VA eligibility. Perhaps they already are using peers in a creative way. Do they know how to use resources? So integrating in with the VA or maybe county services that already exist. How would they address transportation needs? I know we're not doing a lot of transportation for services, but how would they do that? Crisis management. So you can see how we're doing these is that you just, after you read the proposal, think, did they do this? Did they address? So how well does the proposer illustrate an understanding of or provide a policy outlining a protocol around suicide intervention? So specifically what we're getting at here is 2 things. do they have a policy or understand what to do when if and when a crisis comes up with their peers? And do they have any kind of understanding, they at least write about it, what it means to support peer staff? As we know, peer staff are a little bit different. We ask them to lead and to work in lived experience, so it's very different. And then do they have any kind of skill building? They have a resource director. Do they have any kind of like teaching people about boundaries, any kind of internal procedures to help with peers? Quality assurance. So do they demonstrate that they have some written complaint or performance policy? What about in the current pandemic? Do they address how are they going to ensure that they're still able to provide services even when people might get sick? Do they have anything written about that? Do they have a policy that they listed anywhere? What happens when people try it and realize they can't do this online, whatever. Lastly, veteran influence. So do they have a level of commitment that's demonstrated to hiring veteran military families? Are there veterans currently on staff, or at least one veteran on their board? So is this like a new venture for them into the veteran service? I don't think any of our proposers actually have that, but to what degree are they influenced by veterans in their service teams or on their board is going to be awaited here. And then lastly, that cost proposal. I think I showed you there's 5 attachments and then a cost proposal. Is the cost proposal within the budget? So here's the budget here. If it's not in the budget, then they obviously rate lower, right? Are the budget items cost reasonable? If you don't, if it doesn't make sense, do you really think they're going to spend, $50,000 on transportation? I don't know. Maybe that's in there. So does it feel reasonable or not? And then you could put a note if you want for yourself. Absolutely. You could take notes. And then, pay rates, are they reasonable? Maybe it's really low and there's some working, maybe they've rearranged the proposal so that a percentage of their program director gets paid for, right? It could, people can put their proposals together in a lot of different ways. Okay, so this is the rubric. So we're gonna send you this with, as soon as we assign you, we're gonna send you this. And we want you to go through this, and then each of the proposers put a different template, fill out. Okay, so one sheet, and then what we ask you to do is we just need to see these. We'll give you a deadline, but we need to receive those before the review panel. So if you're in Supervisor District 1 or 2, we just need those by the end of the day on Monday, so we can see them and just have a little bit of time to review them. And then, any questions? I want to stop there. That's the rubric. You're going to be able to see this. We'll be available. Does anyone have any questions about this? Okay.
I do.
Okay, we have some questions. All right, Patricia and Tom.
You said you sent out something to everyone.
Yeah, so in your inbox, you should have a request for, you should have 2 things. So one of them is a request for, to join Submittable. It says a request from Southern California grant makers, Submittable. You should, it should have this little symbol in there in your inbox somewhere. And you need to log on there and then type in your number or your email and create an account. So you have to say, create an account, start an account. And once you do that, then we can assign you the proposals for your supervisory district.
Can you resend those out? I just double checked. I don't have it in my inbox. I checked my junk as well.
Yep. Kelly, can you take a note? Anthony,
Yeah, do you need the initial one just to even create an account? Because the proposals haven't been sent out yet because we're waiting for everyone to become a.
The initial one I need.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else need the invitation?
I do have it.
Okay, can you just, if you need it in the invitation, can you just put your email in the chat that you want it emailed to? So after this, we're going to start, once you create your account, we're going to send you all of our, you're going to start to get, you're going to get access to these proposals, okay? Tom?
While I haven't seen the rubric yet because on the phone it's way too small, or at least it's too small for my eyeballs. Is there something in there that allows us to weigh when we get to the part about the budgeting? How much are they spending to get to the street? The one thing when I did all the work with the Educational Foundation for the Entertainment Industry, we weighted very heavily. They may have X dollars, but how much of it is getting to the student, to the clinic, to the street, to the actual veteran? Is that one of the parts of the rubric that weighs how much of it is administrative versus delivery?
Yeah, that's great. So thank you, Tom. That's a wonderful transition point to our actual review panel process. So listen, the reason we have this rubric is so that we can, all it does is flesh up. What we want it to do is to raise issues for us. We are not going to be super strict on this rubric. And what I mean by that is some grant making is a skill. It's not like a formula. And so there could be places where they check the boxes, but we just don't feel like they're getting the heart of the RFP, right? Of what we want to do. And that even in the language, it feels like, this doesn't really capture what we want. And so the review panels are for that. So this is where you would share notes. So for an example, in our review panel, a question might be, hey, Romesh, you scored really high on this, but I think, let's say, but Scott, you scored really low. Can you tell me a little about what why you did that, or what was going on for you there on this section? So then, because the idea is we want to have a discussion about why it is, because not one of us is going to see everything. And so I want you to read it from your lens. And so, Tom, your question there is exactly, it's hard for me to stress this enough. The reason you're on this review panel is because of who you are, because of what you care about, because you represent the ideals of what we want to do in the VPAN, because you've spent a lot of time in this space, because you care deeply about veteran and military families in Los Angeles County. And so that's all of that will be useful in the review panel. So it's the rubrics will be used to inform, but none of you will know what you scored. I won't probably out you. It'll be more of a conversation. Hey, so Kathy, you did this here. I noticed that you scored this part really low. What are your, can you tell me about what was some of your concerns? And someone's like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. That's great, right? The review panels are 2-hour blocks for us to get to a place. The other thing about the review panels is that it's consensus, okay? Everyone on the recommendation that we want to have from the panel is that everyone's on board with who we're choosing. And so sometimes that takes a little bit, right? And sometimes there's like, if you ever saw 12 Angry Men, sometimes there's somebody who's like, no way, man. I don't like these. I don't think they can do it. And so we got to talk it out, and it could be that we might have to vote or whatever. But the idea is that it's a flexible process, but we want to get to a consensus where we're all on the same page. And so we do that because we start with the rubric, and then in our panels will be a discussion. We'll lead you with some questions, and we'll go through the proposal and RFP, and it's an organic process that hopefully will help us clarify what we want to do. So this is why. So before that review panel, it's really important that you score and review those, because then we're gonna walk through our thoughts, how we felt about each section, and what different responses were, and then go from there. All right. So that's the process. It's because of who you are. How are we doing on time here? Any questions about the process? I didn't actually put that on here, but I do. I think it's really an important part. Okay. Lastly, the most important thing, no, just kidding. Stipends. So we want to pay you for your time. We're going to give you all a $150 check. So we're going to send a check to your house, to a PO box, wherever you want us to send it, as a thank you for your time. You can tell your loved ones or your spouse that this is why you're on your computer at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday, that you're paying for the pizza or whatever. But really, this is a thank you. And really, you know, if this VPAN is going to work, it's going to be as a result of a lot of people investing their time and care into this and thinking about how this works. One thing that could easily come up is, you know, that in our panels, issues are raised that then we bring up to them, even though we choose them. For example, in District 3, where there's only one proposal, it's possible that they meet the guidelines of the RFP, but we have some concerns. And so those could, in the discussion and review panel, that could really outline, like, hey, these are some conversations we should have with them before we, you know, before we actually start a contract. So thank you. I think that's all I had. I know for those of you who showed up late because you were here on time, but you couldn't get in. You were locked out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say you were late. Thank you. We'll be around. I'm going to spend the next, stick around if you have any other questions. But for now, just any other questions for the good of the group?
Good morning. You said, well, like in the chat room. Okay, so will we get information about what we missed?
Yes. In fact, I'll just start the whole beginning part over. If you guys have already been here, you can check the block. But if you weren't here for the beginning, I'll show you kind of a big picture of what the VPN is, and then.
Don't say we weren't here, but we were not let in.
I know. It doesn't mean you're not valuable and important.
Deborah, so just to confirm, you're gonna because I checked the site and I don't have anything in there yet. You're gonna be sending those out today. We're starting
Yes.
to. You're gonna send the proposal.
Yes, today you will be assigned. If you check it, you will be assigned. By the end of the day, we'll have assigned everyone. We just wanted to get everybody with us here, and then we'll start assigning people. And so you didn't get in there and start, you know, uploading things or whatever. Be like, what are these? And just so you knew roughly where it is and who's sending you that. Okay.
Yeah, so just to confirm what you can expect to receive from us by the end of the day. So you should have already gotten your invite to create your account in Submittable. So Anthony, we got you settled. If there's anyone else that didn't get that email or can't find it, just let me know and I can resend it. Secondly, after the call, I'll start assigning the proposals. If you've created your account, you'll receive an email that'll actually list the proposals for your review. And so you just have to click on it and it'll bring you right to it. And then a third email that you'll get from us will have the Excel sheet with the scorecard on it. And I will, in that Excel file, I'll send you one Excel file and I'll have templates for each of the proposals that you're reviewing. So you don't have to worry about copying a worksheet to create an extra template. And I think that's, and then the other thing I'll include in that email with the scorecard, I'll include a copy of the RFP, because I think that's important to have handy too for you to look back at and reference.
Yep, and we'll also send you a copy out of some other reading material, specifically our RFP PDF. You can have the RFP, but then also our information session, which is where some of these slides come from, which is a big picture, high-level overview of what the VPAN is. So thank you for those, Kim. I'm going to go over the first slides again and just kind of run up to Submittable, if anyone, for those of you who I wouldn't let in.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Is there a particular email address that you would like for us to send our addresses to?
Yes. So
Yeah.
you can send them to VPAN.
I'll put it in the chat. I just did, but I accidentally just sent it to Anthony. Sorry, Anthony. I'll send it to the group. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. I apologize. There's some weird technical issues here today, I guess. So yeah, all of the proposals, Kelly just put it in the chat, but we'll just go to VPAN at SoCalGrantmakers.org. And that will be the email that sends you that sends you all of this information as well. So this afternoon you can expect that you'll get an email from Submittable that says you've been assigned proposals, and then you can log in and see them. You will also receive an email from VPN that reminds you by supervisory district, that reminds you of this is when you need, here are some follow-ups to this meeting, okay? So a reminder of when your next review panel is, where you need, with a list of some reading material, as well as the scorecard that you'll be using to grade the proposals, okay? All right, well, thank you. I'm sorry for the technical glitches here, and I feel like we've been kind of bouncing all over the place. Hope you're not dizzy. Any other questions, comments, thoughts here? So I'm gonna go over the big picture of the VPN for those who weren't here. If you already sat through this, you're welcome to. Thank you again. Thank you for being wonderful and joining us. This is just so important. If you didn't know, the VPN actually comes from this LA Board of Supervisors approved essentially a $33 million budget over 3 years to fund what's called a VPAN. I don't even know if people will even know what Veteran Pre-Access Network is. They're just going to know it as VPAN probably over the next year. This is something you should super review. And now you have an opportunity to review these proposals. The reason that you're doing this, for those who joined us late, the reason that you're doing this is because this is part of a public-private partnership with the county, where SCG is the fiscal intermediary. We actually are, we actually developed and put on the RFP. And so now the RFP through SC, we oversaw the rollout of the RFP, and now we'll oversee the technology, the training, and manage the contracts with all of the CPOs. And so that's our role in the VPN. We are, part of the reason we did that was because, if you've worked with the county, and some of my favorite people work at the county, but the county is not quick. The county has ideas, and then years later they happen. And so from the time we got the contract in July, now there's been an RFP and we're already reviewing. That is like, nauseously quick. So that's the phase we're in, is in the review process. In July, we released the RFP, and then in August, and then it was due on Monday. And now this next 2 weeks, this week we've been ensuring that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, to make sure that all the proposals you can review them and they make sense and they meet the guidelines for what the RFP outlined. And then, so all of you who are going to go through this will be reviewing the proposals for one of the supervisory districts. And let me tell you how the VPAN is essentially broken out into 5 supervisory districts. So I don't know how familiar you are with some of you with the supervisory districts, but you get a little picture here. The idea is that we establish rally points in each one of these supervisory districts. And so the idea would be that the VPN would essentially, as you saw that picture before, would be the backbone of services. So that I know many of you are connected to the LA Veterans Collaborative, that there would be a world-class peer network that will facilitate services throughout the county. And so each of the organizations that have put in a proposal for this have done it in reference to their supervisory district. So each one of you have been chosen because of your knowledge of your supervisory district. And so when you read these proposals, it will be not based on the county, but does this organization meet the needs of veteran and military families according to this supervisory district? And so that's really the vision here. That's kind of all you missed. If there's anything else, do any of you have questions? Do you want me to go back into Submittable to show you how to get to them? It's pretty straightforward. There's two links, 2 emails you'll get. The first is you create a link. You should have got that. If you didn't get it, please put your email in the chat and we'll resend it to you. And then once you've created an account, then we can assign you a login.
Kelly, I did mine. I just did mine.
Ooh, and it's so easy, huh?
I think so.
All right, you're in. Cool. So now you're in, and now we can start assigning you proposer as a reviewer. Just 2 things to remind you in Submittable. Please do not put any. You can put notes in there if you want, but take notes for yourself because these will. You're not going to actually put any scores into Submittable. You're going to score it on our score sheet that you'll send it to us. That you will then send to us. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you and Kelly both.
Okay, well, thank you for being part of this, and I just appreciate who you are and your passion for this. And yeah, please reach out over the next couple of days if you run into any problems or.
Don't worry.
I know you will, Patricia. Thank you, Scott. It's great to see you. Thank you, Ramesh. Appreciate you.
Can we find out who we are, what other members are in our respective districts?
You can. They're still changing a little bit because people are on and off. We will send you when we send you the final email. We'll include all of you on there. But this is confidential for now, so I would let me think about that. Right now, I would rather have you know each other and talk when we're in person.
Okay.
So you're not like, I'm just thinking like you're chatting like this is the worst one or whatever. Because I want you to bring your own experience, and then I don't want to.
Just we know a lot of each other. That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
That's right. You want to know who's your left and right. I get it.
Yeah. No problem. Okay, we'll work with you.
Well, great. Thank you. And Anthony, we'll get you that email ASAP.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Anthony, Krishna, did you guys have any questions?
I'm clear. I just did this. I got it and I submitted the form for submittal. So I think I'm good to go.
All right. Look at that. Everybody's logging in. I love it.
So yeah, I think I'm good. I don't think I have any. Oh, we didn't discuss the finance part. Did we?
Oh, the stipends.
Oh no. I mean for the review.
Submittable. Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought you mentioned something about looking at their budget.
Yeah. So let me make sure you know how to get there. All right. So look, when you log in, you're going to get assigned. When you get assigned them, it's going to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let's log in. Okay. So you're going to click. So this is one of. Let's say you're assigned 2. You'll click submission. And then you're going to scroll down all the way to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of these attachments, you got to click on each one of these attachments. Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't see that.
Because this is where you'll see what, and then there's the budget, and this is where the cost proposal. This is where you'll make those decisions on the cost.
Okay, so I have to. You said there's 7, right? 7 pages.
7 pages, only 5 attachments, and then a budget.
Okay, cool. All right.
There is one of them uploaded an attachment that's like 45 pages. So, I think it's a company policy. We'll put a caveat on there when we send out the notes for the reviewers for that proposal for that district. So hopefully you're not in that one.
Okay, okay, cool. Okay, so there's more than 5 attachments there. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Am
so
I
let
over?
me show you, right? So there should be 5 attachments. So it's 7 pages. It can't really be more than 7 pages. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attachments.
Okay, but and then the budget, right? So like
Yep,
6.
and then the budget. Yep. And you don't have to download. This is submittable is great because it's for, so you don't have to download. So it actually, so you can see this is the one of the attachments. This is the qualification section. So they added more to their proposal, which I think is smart, right?
Cool. All right. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Great.
I have no further questions. Thank
Okay, great. Thank you, Krishna. Any other questions?
you.
No. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Really, it's been a, yeah, thank you. Please reach out. You'll be hearing from us. Look out for our emails over the next 24 hours, and then log in and start reviewing. Also, as a side note, don't post this on LinkedIn. Don't, like, I wouldn't tell anyone you're a reviewer right now before we make a decision, because, you know, you just don't want to be like getting flowers at your house. I mean, maybe you do, but yeah. Anyway.
Roger that.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for volunteering. Please enjoy the rest of your day. You'll hear from us shortly.
Good. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.